everybody. Jim here with Neil and Veronica to talk about Divergent. Now, for the folks at home, tell us about Divergent. Apparently, you're quite the success story. So tell us about this story and the journey of the characters in Divergent.
Do you mean like about
the story
about
itself? Shailene's kind of arc in the story and what we can expect.
Okay, well, the movie is set in the future in Chicago, and Shailene is, or the character Triss, is living in a world divided into 5 factions that are based on virtues, and she grows up in one that's a little stifling, and she has to decide, where she really wants to be in her life, and she makes a very risky choice.
Nice. Now, tell us a little bit, Mr. Berger, about what drew you to the material and sort of when you knew this is a project I want to spend a couple of years of my life bringing to the screen, because I know directors are all a lot of considerations the way when you're making a project. So tell us a little bit about what drew you to Divergent.
It's true there are, and obviously I read Veronica's book, which I thought was great, and what I liked about it was this real sort of this epic journey of this young woman who starts out kind of as this shy nobody, and then decides to make this choice, like Veronica said, to leave her family, to kind of fulfill, who she is. And, and by the end, after going through this intense boot camp and this sort of psychological training, becomes this real, this badass warrior.
Yeah.
So I liked that, and I liked that it was set in the future, and as a director to create visually, the language of a future world, is a great and really fun challenge. And then ultimately I liked that even though it was set in the future, it wasn't about futurism. It's much more about human nature. It's about who you are, where you belong, who you're loyal to. You're loyal to your family, yourself, who you're really going to go out on a limb for.
Tell us a little bit about your vision of what a future world would look like. Were there certain sort of visual tropes that you wanted to avoid? Like, sort of, what is the design really of your particular future in Divergent?
Well, I mean, we've all seen lots of movies set in the future, lots of post-apocalyptic movies. So the trick with this was to do it somehow differently, and to do it and not to use any of those tropes, those visual motifs that we've seen before, but to do it in a way that felt really fresh. So one idea was, because the faction system seems to be working, and Triss buys into it, she wants to be a part of it. The idea was to make it seem like it was a functioning society to start with, rather than a decaying society or a society that had a problem, to make it like a communal utopia that seemed to be successful. And then only then do you start to see the cracks in it.
Tell us a little bit about the...
I hope that was okay.
Tell us about the really wonderful ensemble cast. You guys have pretty much everybody is in this movie, I think.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about who else is in the movie besides Shailene.
Well, there's Shailene, and then there's a guy named who's fairly new named Theo James, who plays Four, who is incredible. He is this guy he's sort of like a cross between Bruce Lee and Paul Newman. No joke. Isn't he, in a way?
Yeah.
He is, and he's a very handsome guy, an incredible actor, and he can fight like nobody you've seen fight on screen. He's such an incredible fighter. And then there's other people in it, like Kate Winslet is in it. She plays
Who is she now? Tell us.
She plays Janine Matthews, who's the head of Erudite, which is another faction, and she is essentially the main villain in the movie. Ashley Judd is in it. She plays Shailene's mother. Tony Goldwyn is in it, plays Shailene's father, or Beatrice's father. And then there's like this whole gang of, actors who are in their 20s, like Zoe Kravitz,
yep,
and Miles Teller, and Ben Lloyd Hughes, and, it just goes on and on. Christian Madsen, and they're just this great gang of incredibly talented young actors.
Well, I really wish you guys the very best with Divergent. Everyone's hyping it up as the next big franchise. They're using the H word, or HG word, Hunger Games. But I really, it looks like a project that is not only a genre movie that, viscerally people can kind of, attach to that, but it has an actual intellectual depth, which you don't really get often. Tell folks when they can see Divergent. When is Divergent coming out, at least stateside?
It comes out March 21st next year. So we literally just finished shooting 2 days ago.
Nice.
No joke. On Tuesday morning, we stopped shooting at 10 a.m.
Well, I hope you can finally get some sleep after all that. Yeah.
And then there's another one because Veronica has, there's Insurgent, which is out, which was a New York Times bestseller, #1 bestseller. And then the third in the series, Allegiant, comes out in the fall.
October 22nd.
October
Awesome.
22nd. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Veronica, Neil.
Thanks
back
for
to you
having
guys.
us.